Good Thursday morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing. Lots of impacts to speak of. We do have some ongoing lightning activity across the mountains of central Utah, pushing northwards today. We indicate these by these little dotted redded areas, mostly across higher terrain, which aids in that thunderstorm formation. Still some moderate to locally strong gusty winds, low humidity across western Utah and a good portion of central Nevada. Notice the wind threat diminishes as we go into Friday and Saturday. We lose the area of wind altogether, but the areas in red with thunderstorms increase both those days. Red means on the drier side. Green, just a few small areas could produce some local low-end wetting rains, but the bigger threat as we go into this weekend will be the potential for new ignitions with the lightning. Also, we have high Haines indices of 5 or 6, at least for the next 36 hours. That will aid in fire growth in ongoing incidents. We did have some very isolated precipitation, not as much here, very little actually reaching the ground, but it was aloft. This is estimated by radar. On the right-hand side, we did have a couple of dozen lightning strikes along and just north of I-70, so we'll have to watch for the potential for new ignitions with that as well. Ongoing incidents, new incidents in the red, older incidents in the yellow, larger team fires in the purple circle. So again, our fire activity is picking up now and expanding in coverage every day. Precipitation on the left over the past 2 weeks, bone dry across about 80% of the area, as you see through here. And even over the past 30 days, most areas south of the Idaho border have had very little, if any, rainfall. So again, exacerbating our dry conditions. That's why we have 97th percentile to record dry fuels, where you see these purple dots here on our ERCs, 80th, 90th percentile, where you see the reds. Still moist up in our higher terrain. Now here in Nevada, we have ERCs basically between the 50th and 70th percentile. By themselves, not that critical, but there's a large carryover fuels, and sometimes 100-hour fuels are a better barometer. If we look at some of those out in the Carson area, they are just above their record levels. Similar for areas between Elko and Ely, and a bit further south through there. You can see that a lot of these 100-hour fuels are drier than normal for this time of year. In addition, our live fuel moistures here in the Carson district have dropped down to just below normal, and in parts of Utah, again, well below normal to near record level live fuels, combining with the record level dead fuels. Here's our satellite imagery. Deep low pressure stationary over the Pacific Northwest, not moving because this high pressure is building towards us, and you see this high is robbing a little bit of that monsoonal moisture, sweeping it up into parts of New Mexico, Arizona, and into eastern Utah. This was responsible for some of the lightning early this morning, and that lightning threat is a potential for this afternoon across our eastern areas. So for today, we have that high risk of lightning across the Uintas and across the central mountains, across the Wasatch. As this high builds in, little spokes of moisture will break off of this deeper moisture that's over Colorado and affect parts of eastern Utah. We'll have to watch for the potential of that. Drier and breezy the further west you go towards Nevada and the California border. Here's our winds on the left-hand side. The olive to orange shades, gusts approaching 30 miles per hour. Again, more so over Nevada and maybe a little bit towards the West Valley fire in southwest Utah. Precipitation spotty, just a couple hundredths of an inch or a trace. Much of this will evaporate before reaching the ground. Much of the lightning today, if anything occurs across the mountains of eastern Utah, will remain dry. This high pressure expands in coverage, pushes northwards. Will actually push this low further back towards the Gulf of Alaska. We should see a little bit more widespread lightning tomorrow across some of our Utah areas. Wind, just a smaller area across Nevada. And you can see the lightning coverage, the precipitation areas here expand a little bit. Maybe some low-end wetting rains down near the surface, but not too much. Best chances will be down towards the Arizona Strip. Lightning diminishes and is confined mostly to our western areas. Now on Saturday, that deeper moisture starts pushing up through the Arizona Strip into parts of southwest Utah, into parts of Nevada. So our high risk now expands and pushes westwards, covers Mount Charleston area, some of the higher terrain moving up towards Ely. Again, these will be a mix of wet and dry, but more dry than wet. And again, the precipitation coverage shows some of this through here. Some localized gusty winds off the Sierra front. Otherwise, winds not the main issue, just getting very hot and dry, but winds diminishing. 3-day precipitation totals. Now further down the road on Sunday, a deeper plume of moisture comes in along the Utah-Nevada border, pushing further north. So here's our high risk for lightning. Again, a mix of wet and dry, but we have not had much rainfall in these areas for the past 30 to 40 days. So even low-end wetting rains still won't do too much in the short term. However, by Monday, with consistent higher humidity, we'll have lightning. We have not issued high risk. Some of the surface humidities may be a little too high, but we will still stay hot, and we will continue to have lightning around in these areas of green as we go towards the middle of next week. Precipitation totals the next 7 days. A few pockets in southern Utah having about a quarter to a half inch. That would minimize activity, but in some of these lighter shades through here, not putting too much of a dent in terms of new starts. The 8 to 14 day outlook, 12th to the 18th, hotter than normal, especially the further north and west you go. The monsoon should be getting to full swing through here across our southern areas, but on the northern edge is where we could see lightning with minimal rainfall. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.